So, hello and welcome to this Gamma podcast. Today we're joined by BeFibre, and we're going to talk about the PSTN switch off, the onboarding journey, and why BeFibre partnered with Gamma. More importantly, what is the impact of adding Phoneline Plus done to their business and to their customers? I'm joined by Jed Easton, who is the partner acquisition manager and who is responsible for the day-to-day relationship with BeFibre. So, I'd like to introduce the gentleman from BeFibre. We have Rob, who is a product manager, and we have Paul, who's head of channel management. What I'd like to do, guys, is just you to give us a brief introduction about yourselves, about BeFibre, and more importantly, what was the reason why you actually got in partnership with Gamma to help us deliver additional services to your portfolio.
Okay. BeFibre, we are one of the alternate ISPs in the UK. We've been around for a couple of years. Part of a fairly aggressive network expansion and cabling of the northwest of England and parts of the south of England. The reason for partnering with Gamma, quite simply, was it gave us a step into offering our customers VoIP really easily, without all of the kind of associated setup, startup, and dev costs. We were able to onboard with you and take the Phoneline Plus platform. That was the main reason for going with Gamma instead of building our own VoIP platform.
Okay, Paul. So in the time that you've been working with Gamma, how have you found the relationship to date?
Yeah, really positive. I mean, it came about because there was a need for it. You know, when we went into the market of broadband only, we assumed that there wouldn't be this requirement of phone. We thought, phone was dead, and how wrong we were. What we realised was there was a big proportion of customers that wouldn't come on to our product if there wasn't a phone element. So there was a big segment of the market we just couldn't get into. So that was a surprise, but luckily, the great work that Rob's done in launching the product with yourselves has been a success, and not only has it driven more revenue for us as a business, but more importantly, probably it's supported our customers that we couldn't get to before. It's given them the platform to sign up to broadband, but have that fixed phone line. So absolutely integral for us, integral for our customers, and to date, it's been a massive success.
Rob, you've been with us from the start, the trials and tribulations, what's gone well, what could have done better, what's been good, what's been bad.
I think the whole onboarding process has been really good, considering that, as Paul says, voice was never our primary goal. It was always about broadband connectivity. Being able to work with a partner that could help us tap into that potential of voice and launch it successfully was really important. So all of the support that you've been able to give us and answering emails all hours of the day and night about weird and wonderful questions has made that whole experience so much easier. I think from what would have made it better, it's really hard to pick up on that. What's good at the moment is working with you collectively to understand how Phoneline Plus starts to evolve. It's that evolution of the product. I think that's where the benefits will start to really come on board. I mean, to Paul's point, what it gives us is the opportunity and the option to compete against the tier one providers where you normally historically had broadband and phone. It lets us take the optionality of broadband on its own. We can bolt on a voice solution, and then from working with Gamma, we can then evolve that solution. So it's not just the one we're selling today, it's what that then becomes in the next 12, 18, 24 months. Yeah. From a very selfish perspective, for business customers, we have a business-ready product there, out the blocks. What we're using for residential, I think we'll agree, is we're just scraping the surface of Phoneline Plus. It'll be a really limited selection of what it offers. We can then deploy the entire power of Phoneline Plus for our new business proposition, which makes all the difference in the world.
So what are those features, the next ones that you're going to market with? What's the next on the roadmap for you guys in terms of launching to the residential customers?
It's going to be understanding how we can utilize the app. One of the things we haven't done yet is launch the app to our customer base, simply because of the way we want to provision the service and use our own routers. It's a journey to get there. The next element will be that app. And I think what we'll probably do is use that with our business customers first, and then look at how we launch that with our residential customers.
We're working with numerous altnet providers. We're working with many resellers, MSPs, print managed companies, and they all want to add additional services into their portfolio, voice, data. But what they actually find when they want to go to launch or they want to go to market, it's very, very difficult because they might not have the support. What have been the key things that Gamma has been able to provide you, i.e. BeFibre, to get to market so quickly?
So there's probably two key elements. Accelerate and the Academy have been really, really important. Getting access to collateral and copy that's all ready to go, that we just lift and then brand it the way we want to brand it, gives us online support material straight away. The Gamma Academy lets us train all of our provisioning agents really quickly to a really consistent standard, which is important. And most importantly, I don't have to do it. So we don't have to create the content. I don't have to build the training. I just point them in the right direction. Once they've ticked off the training, they can provision. Once we have all the collateral of the Academy, we can then brand it up. taking all of that pre-made content and then fashioning it into something that's really useful for the sales teams has been massively important. The information that Paul's team use on a daily basis is, 99% of product of the Gamma supplied material. So it makes a huge difference.
So from a sales perspective, on your side, Paul, the PSTN message has been there, I think about 2017, the switch off. But actually, if you look in the media, there isn't much information about it. I think a lot of people are really unaware about it, and probably more so the consumer market. With the Gamma support, how has that enabled you to actually speak to people to give them the message what the PSTN switch off is?
Yeah, absolutely. I suppose there's two sides to it, really. We've got our sales teams, and one of the objectives of our sales team is not only to sell, but also educate our customer. So why do I need this product? Because the reality is, before I worked in telecoms, I didn't know that there was a switch off. I didn't know it existed. I didn't know that if I had a fixed line telephone service, that it would be switched off at a point. So our sales teams have an absolute obligation to inform our customers or potential customers that this is on the horizon. And then the other side to it is our customer support teams. So again, our customer support team need to know the information and be confident in relaying that information to our customers. So yeah, it starts with the salesperson, absolutely, but it also filters over to our customer support team. And like anything from a sales point of view, the more confident our sales teams are, whether that be someone in the field, a telesales agent, whoever it might be, they need to be armed with the information. And one thing that we can absolutely say is when it comes to the voice proposition, our sales teams are really confident in the proposition. They know it inside out. They know how to talk about it with a customer, when to bring it into a conversation. And again, as I say, that's also the case for our customer support team. So yeah, the information, the product detail, everything from launch has been kind of surpassed expectation.
I was going to ask, there's a lot of misinformation out there, I think, and it's good to understand maybe from your perspective, what does the PSTN switch off actually mean for you guys, and more importantly, what does it mean for your customers?
Yeah, I think it's probably a subject that hasn't been spoken about as widely as it probably should have been. It's very easy for it to be a scaremongering subject, which is phone line turn-offs coming. You need to act today. I think the responsibility does sit with the ISPs and the telecom providers. It shouldn't be the customers. They shouldn't have to go through hoops just because they want to retain a phone service. It sits with us to do that. Because of the kind of nature of the telecoms structure and industry in the UK, we all want to do it differently, which is why there isn't a cohesive message. For myself, I think it's an opportunity to finally get to a place where we're offering customers and individual users, you can have a broadband experience and a voice experience that are actually fit for purpose in the 21st century. Doing things through wee bits of twisted copper cable is good, I suppose, but when you're delivering somebody full fibre broadband that is soon to be up to 2.3 gig, that's not really the same. So this allows us to kind of get customers and move them onto a platform that really is fit for growth and fit for the 21st century. Selfishly, from a business perspective, because of the time BeFibre launched and because of the time we adopted the PhoneLine Plus platform, we were able to immediately take advantage of being ready for the future. We don't have to migrate customers from copper. We just sell them the right product right from the very beginning, which has been thanks to the PhoneLine Plus platform.
So from start to finish, from when we initially spoke and we said there was a product there which we believe you can sell to a certain percentage of your customers, what was roughly the timeline from that initial conversation to you getting live?
The timeline would have been 3, 5, maybe 6 months. That's principally on our side. That's absolutely resource level on our side. We could have moved much faster. If we'd have had resource available to turn on and do the internal dev, we could have been rolling within a couple of months. Yeah. Because the PhoneLine Plus platform is ready right now. And certainly the utilization of it that we take, anybody can pick up. We train agents on a daily basis. So any delay, any length of time was simply in the BeFibre part because, aligning systems and billing integration and T's and C's and all the other laborious, very BeFibre specific actions, they're the ones that take the time.
Okay.
You spoke earlier about the migration process. What do you guys do to help your customers with that migration process and that easy switch from the legacy services to the new world technology?
We don't have to handle it ourselves directly. As part of One Touch Switch, there's a slightly different process we've now had to adopt. But primarily the way we handle it is through as Paul said, with the sales teams and the support teams. Their conversations with new customers who just have seen something and want a bit of reassurance that they don't have to do anything. Or conversely, new customers that we're seeing on the doors or on the phones who don't understand what's happening. I think that's where Paul's team and the wider sales function can help, I suppose, educate customers and help them understand that the move will just be a seamless one.
And how are you seeing that, Paul? When you speak to customers, face to face, are you seeing that awareness? Are they aware of what's happening when you?
No, not at all. It goes back to that point before. It absolutely is our obligation to inform customers. And no, many customers, I think, potentially perceive it as almost like a sales tactic. And we're really clear with our customers that this is a service that we offer. There is going to be a change that fixed line phone is coming to an end. We can provide a service to you now. If you don't want to take the service now, it's absolutely fine. We can fulfill your broadband needs. If you don't want the phone line, if you do want the phone line, there's an option there for you. The other elements that our customers feedback on, which was a positive piece of feedback that we constantly get, is the value in the product. So having a fixed fee per month and having inclusive calls, whether that be mobile or online. So again, customers that take the product see the value in the product. It'll be customers that do make regular calls using the home phone. We weren't exactly sure what the penetration would be for phone, but it's kind of played out probably more positively overall than what we might have envisaged from day one.
So what rough percent? Look, you're not going to get 100% with a PSTN switch off product because it's not going to. There's certain demographics who are not going to take that. They're obviously more mobile centric. Roughly, what percentage attachment rate you're getting with your customers?
In the residential customer base, it's 10%.
Okay.
And that's, like Paul says, that's with one offering. So the flexibility of the commercials that we have in the pricing structure with Gamma gives us optionality. So in our roadmap, we are going to be deploying, I suppose, essentially 2 or 3 different call packages that will come to market over the next kind of 6 to 8 months, just simply to see exactly where we can find the best support that gives us the return that we need and gives customers the kind of flexibility. Because they might just need the assurance of a phone line as opposed to unlimited, UK landline calls. So yeah, we can take advantage of the existing commercial structure and start fashioning that to something that works in a more cohesive way for our customer base.
So the move into Phone Line Plus into your residential space, do you think the jump then as you move into more the B2B market is going to be easier to understand the likes of Horizon and WebEx and IPEX? Do you actually think that jump is going to be a lot quicker because you've built all the knowledge of how the hosting market works?
I'd love to say yes. I would love to say yes. I mean, the BeFibre approach for business, version 1 of business, is for those small businesses that we generally believe aren't served particularly well by the large players. So I think we generally talk about, if you imagine a field salesperson walking down a high street, they're passing loads of independent greengrocers and hairdressers and small businesses. It's those companies, the ones who are businesses that need and would benefit from a business product, but don't want to go down the kind of the traditional massive B2B experience that comes with some of the tier ones. So our version 1 will be tapping into that really small underserved market, getting them away from a residential product into a fit for purpose business product. And then once we've embedded that and seen how that lands with our footprint, it then becomes looking at what the rest of the business proposition could look like.
And what about the other products then? So we've spoken about phone line on top of your existing connectivity. Mm. What about the other products that you guys are then going to market with? What's next on the roadmap for you guys?
So that's what the first thing that we're looking at is overhauling our broadband speeds. So the introduction of 2.3 gigabits on part of the footprint's coming. Network upgrades happen periodically. So as that happens, the speed will become available more widely. Faster broadband speeds come first because we are a broadband company. Over and above that, it then becomes other enhancements. So like I say, we'll be looking at about 2 or 3 different call packages utilizing Phone Line Plus. We're looking at potentially launching a mobile product for 2 reasons. One would be a traditional SIM-only offering to the market. The other part is to give customers essentially an unbreakable broadband connection, which for business customers is exceptionally important. And I think for some residential customers, it's just as important to have that assurance. And if we can do that in a way where we utilize our existing relationship with Gamma and using our new CPE partner, it just makes life much, much easier. I'd much rather we had a solution that we could just deploy with minimal dev that ticks all the boxes instead of having to, essentially reinvent the wheel, which is where the relationship with Gamma is really important.
So do you think you would have got to where you are now without the onboarding team and the support with the marketing collateral? Do you think you'd have been at the position where you are now to deliver that? Or has that got you to the position where you're at? Are you delivering the numbers?
I think, being honest, probably not. Without the support, probably not. Because one of us in BeFibre would have to create the content. We'd have to create the training material, the how-to for provisioning, create the content that Paul's team uses on a daily basis. And that is just so time-consuming for a small ISP. To be agile and fleet of foot, it's utilizing partner support where possible. So absolutely, without Gamma's onboarded support, we wouldn't be where we are.
You talk about partnership. What does partnership mean to you guys? With your other partners that you work with, but also with Gamma. What does that partnership mean to you guys?
Collaboration, I'd say. We're very lucky that we've got a long list of our partners that we work with, but that be from a sales acquisition point of view, customer support, a long list. And collaboration is probably the key word I'd use, that our most successful partnerships are the businesses that work with us to make a product better, launch a new product, sell better, support our customers better, whether that be a commercial offering or whether that be a product. So yeah, working with a partner closely to get to that end goal and being aligned. And I think values as well. You know, we talk about our values all the time, and a lot of businesses have their own values. And I think where we can align on kind of how we go about doing the do, I think that also kind of works. And I know Rob's been speaking very positive of kind of working with yourselves in the past, and I think there's some definitely alignments of values there as well.
I think there's definitely some synergies between the two organisations. I think our job when we come to first speak to you guys is almost set out the scene, set out what the expectation level is. Going back to what I said earlier, is everybody wants to add new service onto the platform, onto their own portals, and almost build out their own product wheel. But it does involve a bit of time, a bit of training, a bit of knowledge. And I actually think, one of our strap lines is Gamma is good together. Yeah. We will not exist without you. And I think vice versa. If we haven't got the right product set, we haven't got the right tools, we haven't got the right marketing platforms, you get into market, building the product set into your portfolio, and more importantly, your salespeople, and they're probably not able to deliver that. So I think the synergies between the two is because you've put the work in to get to market. And hopefully the support mechanisms that we put in place has made that journey not seamless, because there's always things you've got to test, but hopefully it's made that journey a lot easier than you may have thought of at the start.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Even the longer term bits and pieces. I mean, Paul's right, collaboration is the most important aspect of it. And even little things like, working on the API now for provisioning, and that really close working relationship really helps. It's not a case of there's your API spec, end of conversation. It's a collaborative conversation. Okay, how can we utilize it? What's the best way we can work with Gamma? And the same thing applies to every aspect of our relationship, whether it's with you as our VoIP, currently our VoIP only supplier, or whether it's with a hardware supplier or a sales team support mechanism, is working together to deliver that. That's the really important part.
Those APIs and automation, what does that mean for you guys as a business, and how you guys can work with your customers? What does that mean?
I mean, from a technical perspective, it gives time back. Currently, if you have an agent who is provisioning something manually, that's taking time away from something else they could do. So for us, it allows us to automate the process, which gives us scalability and it gives us time. And those two things, scalability and time, in a small company are really important, because to Paul's point, it's working with partners sensibly that gives you scalable growth. The most sensible thing would not be for us to go and employ a whole load more people to simply sit and manually provision sales. The best option is absolutely to use an API and automate it, because only through automation can we get the scalability and the time to really make it work.
So you mentioned earlier, Paul, when we were talking about the PSTN, I think you'd done some marketing message out to your salespeople, and the PSTN date was end of 2025, and we've all been like charging bulls to get that message out there. Obviously, that's been extended to 2027, which actually I think is probably a good thing. I think it gives people a little bit more time. As I said, there's no real marketing message. It's almost you as the ISPs. You're the ones who are delivering that message. What has that delay meant for you and your sales team?
Probably nothing, because the message is still the same. Inform customer, this is happening. If the customer wants to listen, if the customer wants to act upon it, it's completely up to them. But it doesn't really change anything at all. We continue to have conversations with our customers. We continue to talk about broadband as it should be, and as part of that, the phone line as well. It doesn't change anything at all. It's business as usual.
Yeah, I think that, and I think that's a really important thing to get across, is just because it's extended doesn't mean you want to then leave it till sort of middle of 2027.
Yeah.
These changes are happening now, and almost, why would you want to wait? The technology's there, the super fast speeds that you guys are delivering. You almost want to go hand in hand as a service. So that's great to hear, because there will be some people who will say, oh, we can leave it a couple more years.
Yeah.
What I personally think is, make that change now. Use the technology which is available for you now, as opposed to wait until probably middle of 2027 when everybody's trying to do it at the same time.
A good example of leaving it is one to Twitch. So, as a business, I think we did quite a good job of getting ahead of it and did everything we could. So come that day of going live, we were in our best possible position.
Yep.
And touch wood, we've gone live and everything seems to have gone well. And it's exactly the same with the switch off. We just need to make sure that we are best prepared, not only as a business, but we're also best prepared in informing our customers. So One Touch Switch has been quite good for us in terms of operationally. It went live, it was successful, no impact to sales and no impact, most importantly, to our customers, other than giving them the ability to switch easier, which was what it was all about. So One Touch Switch is probably a good example of we embraced it, and it did mean that go live date went without a hitch.
Yeah, and it's continuity of message for us with voice in particular. We've not had to change the message. We haven't done a stop sale. We'll start selling again, but we'll sell something a bit different. It's a continuity of message. So all the conversations, if a customer or a prospective customer has seen a message from a tier one who have a stop selling phone line in their postcode, it's not an issue for us. It's not an issue for any of Paul's team. We can have a conversation that says, yeah, phone line's ready now. A couple of considerations about telecare devices that we treat on a case-by-case basis. But broadly, because of the continuity of message, it does help because we haven't had this staggered go, no go, stop, don't stop, keep maybe stopping. And that definitely gives customers assurance. It's that reliance and assurance that's really important.
So you guys are obviously massively growing out your network and you're going to be delivering some really, really super speeds. I mean, what does that look like for BeFibre in the next sort of 12, 18, 24 months as an organisation?
It's an interesting question. I suppose it'll be interesting to see how it all pans out in the more broad kind of ISP market. The ISP market in the UK has always been very buoyant. It's probably one of the fastest moving and most challenging industries on the face of the earth, in the UK in particular, because of the fragmented nature of it. It does create some interesting outcomes. I think for us, it'll be embedding all the things we've started. So like Paul says, broadband as it should be, making sure that our brand values are woven through everything that we do, enables us to not only grow our customer base, but most importantly, then take advantage of the wholesale partners that we work with. It's very important to continually grow the brand and the business and not to stand still. So for us, it's about focusing on where we want to be in 24 months. We're starting that journey now and understanding it will be, it'll require some change along the way.
I think the altnet carriers are a massive help to our industry because they're almost forcing the market to move into the super fast connectivity world, and it's what we need. And again, when we talk about the world of voice over IP, you need to have stable connections. But I think we're talking about all the other things which can be delivered. The technologies which are going to come. What will the phone line plus look like in 3 or 4 years' time? What the applications where you are going to need maybe super fast? A consumer's going to be using more video in the phone line plus tablet world. It's the way that they're doing things in WhatsApp. So whilst at this moment in time, you may be only delivered to a certain demographic, 10, 15% of the audience. The audience may grow in a few years' time because of the technology.
Absolutely.
And I think what underpins that is obviously organisations like yourself delivering the super fast connectivity.
I mean, those customers, the ones that we do sell to, the other 85%, 90%, they all make phone calls and voice calls of one form or another. They don't just sit there, talking to nobody. Just understanding how they do that, what is their preferred communication method, and then understanding what we can do with arguably the best broadband in the UK. When we as an altnet are selling broadband speeds that are double and sometimes triple what the tier one providers deliver, you've got symmetrical upload and download speeds. It's taking that really strong technical characteristic and turning it into something that customers understand. Essentially, our customer base are really technical and they will blind any one of us with science about internet and broadband and VoIP in particular. And the early adopters are, a font of knowledge and really complex questions. The job we have is to take that really technical stuff and make it simple for the customers who, let's face it, make up 90%.
So in the demographic of, as I said, at the moment you mentioned sort of 85% of people who are not going to take that. Other products such as mobile, the portfolio, which will attack that 85%. Is that
absolutely
something from a salesperson's perspective they see as a huge opportunity?
We probably shouldn't have done this, but Rob mentioned to me about this potential launch of SIM and mobile, and I mentioned it to some of our sales guys, and they were obviously over the moon of potentially earning more commission by selling more products. But also, not only that, we want to make our customers as sticky as possible.
Yeah.
And we know a great way of doing that is introducing SIM, introducing more products. So I think there's absolutely a great proportion of our customer that would lap up starting with a SIM proposition. And our sales teams are absolutely over the moon about the proposition of more products to talk about. And we talk about a lot of the time enabling people's lives. And at the minute, we're doing that through broadband and we're doing that through phone and some other add-ons, but we're not doing that in the SIM mobile market. So there's definitely a gap there, which obviously Rob's exploring now. But yeah, really excited about that.
So again, working with Gamma, again, with us in the middle of that product wheel, we can then, you've come to PhoneLine Plus, there's a potential then to add some of the other VoIP services on, maybe for some larger business customers, and also mobile is another product which we can bring to the table. So we're creating that you can purchase from one supplier to deliver maybe 75-80% of the product set that all your customers need. Again, was that one of the decisions at the start why the business thought we don't want to have 5-6 different providers if we can really scale this down?
Yeah, absolutely. I think when you can work with a partner that can help deliver a couple of products, that's great. If you can help deliver essentially the entire chunk of that part of your product set, then that is absolutely perfect. It'd be almost counterintuitive to have a VoIP provider that was entirely removed from a mobile provider, for example. It doesn't make any sense because those services have to work seamlessly. If we want to take BeFibre out of the house and BeFibre becomes something that customers interact with when they're in Costa or in Tesco's, then we need to have a solution that pulls it all together. And working with one partner to help deliver 2 or 3 different products in the same type of space, like voice, that makes logical sense. So absolutely played into the market.
What sort of things are you looking at when you're looking at a mobile proposition, Rob? What are your considerations when you're looking at the underlying carrier or provider?
So I mean, I think it's like Paul has mentioned. We do talk about all the upcoming products with our sales team, with the wider sales and customer support team. Getting their feedback is really important. Otherwise, the decisions just sit with me. And I'm never going to make the best decisions all the time. So understanding, getting feedback from the frontline sales team and customer support agents helps shape where we want to go. For a voice proposition, for a SIM proposition in particular, I think one of the first questions I asked you was who's the network provider? Because of historic experience and some issues of congestion, to find out that it was 3 was like, okay, that's a big massive tick in the box, right? That takes away a huge potential challenge and barrier, and it then lets us move on because, like it or not, all mobile networks aren't made equal, and the underlying carrier is really, really important. Just as for us with broadband, it's equally as important for mobile connectivity.
What are some of those things about 3 then? So when you said a tick in the box, what are some of those things about 3 that gave those ticks?
Well, I'll let you answer that. But before you do, that when Rob mentioned the possibility of dipping our toe in SIM, my first question to Rob was, who's the network?
You can tell we're off from telco.
And I won't say the network that I was used to using, but the amount of issues that I would have as a consumer or customers would have for the company that both myself and Rob worked for in the past. And it was a massive issue. And whereas it should enable more sales and it should enable customers' lives and give them a great value product, it actually became a deterrent. It actually became a blocker to buy because the service wasn't really good enough. So the fact that it's a more, in my opinion, a reliable network to use is a massive tick in the box.
Oh, I think, like I say, we all come from a telco background and we're all quite close to the industry, so we understand which networks are performing well and what circumstances and which ones aren't necessarily. 3 was a massive tick in the box because they have managed to get themselves to a place where they are probably comfortably head and shoulders above the other main network carriers in the UK from coverage and consistency of experience. So you've got bars, but you can use the bars. You've got 5G and you can use 5G. It's the real life user experience. We do the same thing with broadband. We give customers access to a huge broadband pipe into their house, which enables them to live their life when they want to and how they want to. And you have to be able to offer the same thing in mobile. So understanding it was 3, like I say, that was, okay, this is great. They are arguably the market leader in mobile connectivity in the UK. So that's one problem we don't have to worry about. We can then worry about how we talk to customers, how we build customers. The technical stuff's taken away.
Just circling back around, because you've spoken about it quite a lot, one-touch switch. For those people who don't know what that is, what is it? What does it mean for the customers or businesses, but also your customers?
Yeah, so it's a piece of Ofcom regulation that enables ISPs to give their customers the ability to switch to another ISP through a digital solution or a voice solution with the new ISP. So therefore, if a customer was with one of our competitors and wants to sign up to a new offering of BeFibre, the sales agent or the online portal, if it was a digital customer, would be able to switch the service without having to speak to their current ISP. Now, for an ISP like ourselves, the this is music to our ears, because we know there's a big proportion of customers in the market that aren't happy with their current broadband provider, but don't want to go through the stresses and the turmoil of getting through to someone at a retentions team and kind of getting the actual agent they're speaking to cancel their service for them. There's just a big old proportion of customer that doesn't want the hassle of that. And One Touch Switch just takes that all away. It gives us as an ISP the ability to not only give our customers a great new proposition, a new offer, a new broadband package with phone, ideally, but it also allows us to switch that customer over to us without them having to go through the pain that sometimes they.
So that sounds very much, again, I think we do talk a lot now about the customer experience.
Mm-hmm.
It's very easy for a customer to jump online and either put a bad review or find another supplier and try and compare apples with apples. And I think the customer experience can sometimes come down to how quick can we make changes. So just give me very brief, from you ordering a PhoneLine Plus service to it going live to it being with the customer, what roughly is that timeline for you guys?
It's pretty much, it is as quick as we need it to be. The way we align it is where customer places the order, the day their broadband service goes live is the day that we provision their PhoneLine Plus service. So in an ideal world, you place your order, 7 to 10 days later, an engineer comes to your house, they install your cable, plug in your router, and that's it. Within hours of that happening, you've got a fully functioning broadband connection and your voice connection's up and running. So we ensure that the provisioning all happens in line and that the customer's ATA arrives at the kind of time they're expecting it to.
Okay, so our customer experience is from us to you, and your customer experience is obviously from you to your customer. And Gamma, over the years, and we continue to invest substantial amount of money in the front end portals to enable you to sort of deliver that day-to-day sort of customer experience. Yeah. How do you find using the customer portals that we deliver to you to make your jobs hopefully easier?
It's interesting because it's one of these things where when we first started looking at it and I started showing it to our order management team, there was almost a moment of, no, can't be that good, can't look that good. And I think it is really important that when you are interacting with the system on a daily basis, that it is user-friendly. We've all experienced Apple over the past couple of years, decade, and we've seen Android, changing to kind of iterate and catch up. That user experience is very important. Having a portal like the PhoneLine Plus portal that is so easy to navigate, it's so easy to set the customer up on, it just takes away a whole load of pain that potentially could exist. We've all operated with systems in the past that have just been built on and built on and built on, and there's so many nuances and tricks that you don't need that in PhoneLine Plus. The portal just works the way you'd expect it to. It's really natural. And from a provisioning agent's perspective, it's almost like any other really well thought together online transaction. It's like buying from Amazon. It's that simple of an experience, but we're provisioning customers for a phone service.
And I guess that makes the salespeople job a hell of a lot easier because they haven't got to worry about doing the sale, and then operationally that's where it falls down.
No, it just comes back to the customer experience, and that's one thing that we do say a lot. We're a customer-centric business. We want to make every experience our customer has a good one, and that starts with the salesperson, whether it be on the door, on the telephones. A customer experience online has to be a positive experience. And there's absolutely no concern with the experience of signing up to broadband or BeTalk.
And what's the user experience for, because we're kind of once removed from the actual end customer, what's the user experience like for the customers that you speak to on PhoneLine Plus?
Well, I suppose the fact that we don't receive any complaints about the product kind of says it all. It seems to be a product that once it's switched on, it works. Customer knows exactly how much they're paying. Like I mentioned before, customers like the fact that it's an inclusive price. So for that full month, if they use their phone to phone a UK landline or a UK mobile, there's no additional cost. It's inclusive. So product works, great value. And as I say, it just enables us to be confident in selling the product.
We spent a lot of time understanding the kind of the custom, like the actual customer end of all of it. So I know we first started looking at launching there's loads of questions and conversations with the ATA. What does it look like? What size is it? How do you connect it? I think understanding what the customer has to do in their home is really important. Working with Gamma, we have had issues with the device sometimes it can just be configuration or it can be user error. The RMA process is really easy. Our operations team jump on, raise a ticket, and at the door swaps happen. And Paul's right, the lack of noise we get, lack of feedback we get is absolutely a good thing because we see the call traffic coming through and all the data files we get. So we see the billable volume of calls coming through. So people are using the service and repeatedly using the service. You've got a couple of really high users every single month, the very high users. It's that lack of noise that gives us assurance that it's working. But that's because we've done an awful lot of work with you to understand the onboarding process for us as an ISP, and then obviously the end customer experience and the customer's own home.
And how's that ongoing support? You said there's not been any issues, which is great, but how's the ongoing support from our back end teams and that working with them?
It's been really good. As with all these things, you come across little bumps in the road. Normally, it's something happens to the device, it gets damaged or broken or doesn't work, in which case the RMA process steps in, and that's seamless once the tickets are raised and we get visibility of it all, so you can track the tickets through. From a user perspective, when it comes down to making phone calls, no issue. The support's really, really good. When it comes to number porting, that's probably where we see more issues, but that's a combination of factors. That's to do with customers sometimes not being 100% sure who owns the phone number. Who am I porting it from? Where am I porting it to? The great thing about working with Gamma is that our team can pick up the phone, they can send an email and get a response really quickly. And for our order management team to feel confident in that is exceptional, because that's the pain point for number porting is someone left without a service, or worst case, just losing the number they've had for the past 20 years. So the PSTN switch off has made people more aware of phone lines, which is great. We do a great job with Paul's team of helping customers understand why our solution, powered by Gamma, is really good for them. The support we have when we do come across problems is great. Number porting has the potential to be a break point. It really is. It's the highest risk break point of a voice customer. We could lose them if we fail a number port. So just understanding those pains.
So I guess in summary, when going back, 12 months ago, might not even be that long, it was how do we get this product in your portfolio as seamless as possible for you to be able to sell this to your customers? Do you believe we've done that? Would you believe we support you to get there?
Absolutely. Oh yeah, absolutely. The fact that we're sitting here today talking about it, and we've had conversations about iterating and really specific conversations about Phoneline Plus as a platform, not just basic API functionality. Stun provisioning was one of the new ones, like moving away from stun provisioning so we can deploy Phoneline Plus direct from our new routers is really important for us, mainly because it reduces operational cost and it reduces the amount of electronic stuff we're sending to customers' homes. So understanding that we have a voice product and that we can work together to improve what that looks like is exceptionally important. So yeah, the fact we're still talking about today is testament to the fact that it works really well, and we wouldn't be where we are without the support of Gamma.
So currently, guys, you're kind of working in the consumer world, but as you kind of move into the B2B world, and what are some of the things you're looking at in terms of product set, and how Gamma helps you in terms of moving into the hosted voice market with the business customers?
So the biggest thing we have with working with Gamma is the optionality to add in extra products. It's really easy building an existing relationship, like we spoke about with Sin. That was a product of a conversation we had about our current residential offering. The advantage of Gamma's products is when we start working B2B more closely and looking at different businesses, we have the scalability. Mm-hmm. It's the ability to come back and speak to you about what product is the right fit for the right business. And we already have the onboarding experience working with Phoneline Plus. So then adding in another product set should be fairly straightforward. And it's just a product, like you said earlier, it's almost like the spoke of the wheel. We've got one product that works today, but we're very aware that businesses are going to be different in 12 months' time. The businesses we talk to will be different in 12, 18 months' time. So understanding that we have access to the rest of the Gamma portfolio when we need it and when we want to deploy it is really important.
I think what we can say over the next 3, 4, 5 years with the PSTN switch off, there's massive opportunity for us all. I think it's really, really exciting. It's arguably the biggest change in voice in probably the last 50 years. Mm-hmm. And that, aligned with the super fast broadband speeds, means that there is a window of opportunity, probably a small window of opportunity, to actually make sure that your customers have got the right product sets in, but more importantly, can grow as new products come out. And that obviously is underpinned by your connectivity network.
Absolutely. So we had a business customer who had onboarded at the moment with a Phoneline Plus product. If that business then grows or changes, start to evolve in the next 12 to 18 months, we would need a product to then keep pace with that. That business grows, just geographical size or the number of employees, the number of offices they operate from, we would then come back and have to look at a different product for them. Yeah. And building on that existing Gamma relationship would enable us to do that.
Where do you think it's going to end? So, if you look for, in some cases, it's still technology is still picking the phone up and speaking to someone else at the other end, but
robots.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, we actually, we are talking sort of the world of IoT. Yeah. We're in the Internet of Things, and that is something we're due to launch very, very soon. Because technology is changing. SIM cards and eSIMs into fridges and lawnmowers, whatever it may be. I think we're just moving away from voice connectivity, and almost you become, I said, that spoke of the wheel. If the technology moves on as we believe it's going to move on, the opportunity is just going to keep growing and growing and growing. But it's where it does stop. As you said, robots, Terminator, and I think of that nature.
When IKEA started doing connected home stuff, I asked about everything. Hold on, this isn't going away. It's more than just a light bulb that changes color when I say, Alexa or good. So I think understanding that the IoT market is really changing is very important. From our perspective, our new router hardware will be as ready as it can be for IoT. Yeah. One of the big things Wi-Fi 7 brings is a greater ability and a better experience for connectivity, which is kind of the cornerstone to IoT. If you don't have the broadband capacity, it doesn't work. If you don't have the router, it doesn't work. And we're in a unique position where we have started a network and an ISP that already delivers essentially class-leading speeds. The altnet community operating the same network technology as us. Synchronous upload and download speeds of over 2 gigabits a second is massive. It's probably not needed for domestic use. It will be in 5 years' time when you have smart fridges and your smart cooker and everything wants to talk and communicate. You need that bandwidth.
And I think the consumer now almost drives the business conversation. I think is the expectation level is I want it now. It must work. You've told me this. And again, connectivity is the most important cog in this wheel for everything to operate. And I think you as an altnet is such a position of strength because you're delivering the underlying network, which is to make all this stuff run. And again, you're just going to be sticking the stuff on top, which must be a massive opportunity for the sales team.
No, absolutely. I mean, we talk about, what does broadband mean to you as a consumer? And it just enables everything now, doesn't it? Gone are the days where it was just a computer or a laptop in someone's home. It's their security system. It's their Hoover. It's their fridge. It's their central heating. It's so many things. And now more people are working from home. Yeah. More people are studying from home. It just enables everything. And again, we talk about broadband as it should be. So, it has to be good value, but it has to work. Yeah. Most importantly.
Yeah, and I think the shift from, a really basic example, I suppose, the shift from Freeview being broadcast, through aerials to being delivered down, a connection through IPTV will kind of stretch the network capacity for some networks in the UK. The advantage we have working with Gamma is that we know that whenever it comes to a voice proposition, it's going to be fit for purpose. I don't have to think about it. We don't have to devote time building a solution. We can just have a chat about this is what we're seeing. This is where the market we think is going. And then we can just bolt that product on.
I think if there's, the fact, one of the beauties through working with Gamma is it's underpinned by our network as well. So the security element that we've got. And I think this is probably, we talk about, data, but more importantly now the security of that networks. What are your views on that, and how do you manage that from your customer's perspective?
So I suppose from a technical perspective, I can cover a bit, but then Paul can talk a bit more about what customers say. We have the advantage of a really robust and secure full fiber network. So that kind of takes care of a whole chunk of potential problems. From an in-home perspective, and the routers that we use, our router supplier is going to start deploying. They're shifting they're essentially their cyber protection. It will be enterprise-grade cyber protection that all customers get. For us, what that means is we deploy one piece of change on the router, and that protects every connected device in the home. So your ATA and your voice platform falls under the same kind of domestic protection. It means as an ISP, we can, as much as is possible, assure the security and safety of our network. And for customers, bolted on by Gamma's support, we can say, actually, your voice traffic is completely secure. It's absolutely secure. All the traffic through Gamma's platform is maintained and secured by Gamma. So we can secure essentially the pipe of the internet, and then working with you can secure what that means for customers. How customers perceive that, Paul, is probably better placed to explain.
Yeah, well, it's changed a lot over the last probably since COVID, when more people were forced to work from home, and all of a sudden, their laptops and their devices with all this, confidential, secure information are in people's homes. So now we are getting customers coming to us and asking more around, what are we doing to protect them, to protect their devices? So it probably wasn't a conversation 5 years ago, but now it is. People want to know, not only is their broadband connectivity working, does it do what it should do, but is it secure? And that's that is one of the changes of kind of how we've moved, that more people are working from home, more people have information on their devices that they don't want other people seeing. So, God, I sounded quite morbid. That.
I think you said, Paul, though, I think you mentioned earlier on is, it's very easy to go to a customer and say, you can have this product. It is a new version of what you currently got and it's going to cost you X pound a month. But I believe, and the conversation we had, I think it comes down to education, educating your customer of why they need to move on to this product, what they need to have in place, because security is such a massive thing, and we're getting scam emails coming in, day out, what's right, what's not right, and I think educating your customer is probably the most important thing we can do as we move into this whole IP world.
Yeah, I think it can be quite confusing, right? There's a lot of different altnets, there's a lot of different broadband providers out there in the UK. What are some of the things that you guys do differently to the other providers, and for your customers?
I think we pride ourselves on the actual quality of the product. So I've said it a few times today, and I'll continue saying it. It's something that we live our lives by. That it's broadband as it should be. Number one, it works. Two, commercially, it's good value. We don't overcharge our customer. It's a great product, but at a great price. So I think fundamentally our customers will come to us because they see value in the product, and it works. It does exactly what it says in the tin, and that goes for the voice proposition as well.
We've got a product which is very, very strong. We've got news products very strong. We've got a platform which enables to make your lives easier, and we've got a support mechanism. And I think that's key. I think it's really important that we both almost sing from the same hymn sheet, because we want to deliver the highest level of service to you guys, for you to deliver that to your customer. And believe me, if your customers are not happy in the world that we're in today, they will let you know. But what they'll do is they'll let everybody know.
Yeah.
And most people don't look at the 5 stars. They always look at the 1 star at the bottom, whether that's just the nature of people. But I believe that synergy between two organisations is very, very strong.
No, absolutely. And to be fair, when we talk about our business strategy, it is very much customer centric. We want all of our customers to be advocates of the brand, of the product. So I couldn't agree more. And we think that is reflective in our NPS scores, in general feedback we get from our customers, in our Trustpilot reviews. Having our customers, as many of our customers being brand advocates as possible is a big objective of ours, and something that we'll continue to work on and hopefully improve. I
think customers they expect seamless connectivity, and if you switch your gas and electric supply, it should just work. I don't want to be freezing cold for 2 days. Do you know what I mean? To get a new gas pipe in. So one touch switch helps eliminate some of that. From our perspective, when we start thinking about customers, we have the ability of being a small alternate ISP where you can react really quickly. So you can look at what's happening in the wider marketplace and actually act on that now. We don't have to worry necessarily about, a predetermined course that we set ourselves 12 months ago. And that's the path we have to stay. So we can watch what's happening with our competitors at a postcode level as well as at a national level, and then make decisions that we can actually implement quite quickly. And as long as those decisions are beneficial for customers and we don't just, new hardware, new products and features is a great example. If we deployed a new PhoneLine Plus feature to our network next month, all customers would get access to that. We wouldn't kind of say, oh, you've signed up already, you have to stick with what you've got. We would give everybody access to that. And that's where the advantage of a small ISP and an alternate comes in, because it forces the big players to kind of, you might be incumbent, but it's only because people can't leave. Yeah. When people have an option, they will vote with their feet.
Yeah.
And
I think also the fact is that the voice and the broadband aren't necessarily attached together as a single product. You can almost sell a solution, the service, the customer. What's best for you as the customer.
Yeah.
Within regards to how you're getting to your customers, when we initially spoke, there was a few ways you can get: one via media, one via telemarketing, one via field sales. What are you seeing is being most successful for your business at the moment?
It's a ball question.
I would say at the minute, from a channel perspective, telesales have quite a remarkable attach rate. And I think the objective to our telesales operation is get to know your customer. Ask them what they need. Ask them what would fulfill them. One of them things is a phone line. Absolutely talk about the benefit of BeTalk, our voice proposition. And simply by doing that, we don't over-incentivize them. If they add on BeTalk to a broadband package, they don't get any financial gain. It's not a KPI target to theirs. It's all about getting to know your customer and giving them a service that's valuable for them. And telesales have a higher uptake of BeTalk than some of our other channels. Affiliates is probably the channel which is interesting because affiliates are third-party partners like money supermarkets and operators like that. The uptake in the affiliates is much lower than in some of our other sales channels. And I think that may be customer demographic, customers looking to switch, being a bit more price-focused. So uptake in BeTalk is lower there, but telesales is bucking the trend. It's
just shows you doing 100 dials a day, picking up the phone, speaking to someone about a phone service.
Well, this is the thing.
It's still an activity, right? And it's an education definitely. Message still seems to be.
Customers self-select and sometimes don't know they need a product, and sometimes it's too easy to potentially choose a product that you think you need without considering, would I actually benefit from having a talk proposition? So the fact that our customer-facing teams can do that is absolutely a benefit for the customer.
I think it's great that you have got the variants to go into market. Some businesses have gone purely over to sort of social media way and that type of marketing. But it's great because you can assess what is working best, what's more successful, and if anything, they're all supporting each other. But yeah, it's interesting. The telemarketing side still delivers the
people still buy from people, right?
Well,
still exchange relationships that we've spoken about today. It's really, really important.
Yeah, absolutely. The digital journeys are always going to be a little bit. Digital customers, especially through like affiliate and switching platforms, will tend to be, far more direct in what they want. I know what I want and I want this thing. And that can be a product of experience or just, I don't like being tied to my incumbent. They force me to take a phone line. I'd never use it. Rings. I don't know what the noise is. Those customers will tend, in my opinion, to, go down the switching route, go online. I just want a broadband connection.
I think it's important for us to see what you as a channel is doing. We've got the product set, but is there ways as a business that we can improve? Are we relying too much on a marketing side? We went with COVID, everything went into video, and we lost that personal touch, I guess, across the whole industry. But what we've realised is actually having meetings like this, face-to-face meetings, actually being visual to your customer, speaking to your customer away from email. I think there's a hell of a lot more value in that. Than actually relying more so on probably the media side.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird. Phone calls are a really good example because Teams calls and Zoom calls and WebEx is really important, and there's no getting away from it. I think you do lose some of you're almost more personal on a voice-to-voice call, whether that's like on a telephone or and present in the room. That does seem to always be a much more personal way of discussing. And as we kind of come out of this, COVID times and home working and all this type of stuff, I think the natural migration will be towards hybrid. So although more people will go back to an office to work, they'll still be working from home. So still need to have a really robust voice service and a really robust broadband service. And the market will dictate it. Where we have an advantage being a small ISP is that we as an employer, employees, we will react the way the market and the kind of the teams dictate. It's not going to be mandated. So it'll be our kind of decision, which helps inform how we then deal with it.
I think what it comes down to is you've got to find the right supplier to purchase from. You've got to then have the right product. You've got to have the right onboarding experience, but also then you've got to have internally the right activity levels. And I think regardless whether you're a small ISP, a print managed organisation, whatever, as long as you've got the right attitude and delivering the right message, and more importantly, being confident in that product that you're speaking to the customer, I think that's critical in any journey. But just making lots of calls, lots of activity will make a massive difference to any organisation, I believe.
I had one question for you guys. What does the future look like at BeFibre? What does the next 6 months look like for you guys?
That's a short future.
I'd say absolutely exciting. I think Rob mentioned it earlier, we are an ambitious company. We want more customers to come over to us. We want to continue to grow our network and continue to grow our brand. But we are new to the market. Some customers don't know who BeFibre are. So, there's a lot of work to do. The great thing is we're in a great position because we work with great partners. We've got a great product. And, through advocacy, our customers are also recommended us to their friends and family. So I think the future is absolutely exciting. And, it'll be interesting if we do come back in 6 months to talk about what's happened in the last 6 months. I suspect quite a lot.
Yeah. I think it's really hard to predict. I mean, obviously, we can speculate about sales numbers and other boring bits and pieces. I think ultimately the aim will be to continue growing at the pace we're growing at from an ISP new customer perspective. mean, Paul's absolutely right. We are a very new company. We're just seeing our first handful, was more than a handful, triple digits of customers reaching the end of their initial 24-month term. So actually, realistically, the opportunity for BeFibre isn't just new acquisition. It's looking at our existing customer base and, helping them want to stay with us. We don't want them to stay because they have no other option. You want them to stay because they actually want to be with BeFibre. So we have a really good opportunity with our existing customers, as well as understanding how we can better attract more new customers across the increasing footprint. But 6 months is a long time and a really short time. In 6 months, it'll be a very different landscape. Of course it will. It doesn't stand still. 6 months ago is,
Well, you think from 6-7 months ago we were at testing phase.
Yes.
Now you've delivered what you've delivered.
Yeah.
That's testament to one, the testing that you did to make sure everything works on the platform. More importantly, I think it is going to get, you are going to deliver more because as we get closer and closer, as we said, 2027.
Yes.
But actually, your opportunities now, so you're just going to increase. And the testing, the platforms, everything that in place should enable you to take on that growth without necessarily worrying, we've got to learn lots of new features. We've got to bring more people in because the platforms and the APIs are there for you to scale up as well, which I think is really, really important.
Yeah, and from a demand perspective, our existing customers, the ones who are in contract, out of contract, all of the content that Gamma created that sits there on the online portal, that's what we will use. We can use that to then publicise, or we do phone line as well. I think there's a really fine line on the phone line switch off. It's a really fine line between inadvertently scaring people or making them not want to move, because I think ultimately you have to make a decision as a consumer. You need to decide what you want to do. I think we've done the right thing, which is going down, essentially digital switch on as opposed to everyone panic. And it allows us to utilize, we have a 21st century network, 21st century broadband. We can give you a future-proof voice solution, which is far better than saying, you better do something, otherwise it's all going to go horribly wrong.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think, it'll be interesting. Telecare, that's the biggest challenge that we do face with customers who have telecare devices where they aren't VoIP ready or they aren't sure they're VoIP ready. And I think that we've spoken about this, the potential legislative stuff for battery backups, other challenges that will come down the line.
You mentioned about the marketing platform, which is Accelerate. What have you actually used Accelerate for?
So our marketing team used Accelerate to understand what was available for PSTN switch off as a way of informing, when we go out to our existing customer base to essentially drive up voice adoption, what can we tell them? How can we talk about it in a tone of voice that works? And like Paul said, because our tone of voice and our way of working and thinking is very similar to yours, we don't have to worry too much about we're not going to be sending customers copy that totally jars with what they see. So PSTN switch off is really important, as well as the content that helps people understand why they want to adopt voice. Because the best way in the world, as a young ISP, and I think Paul and I are both in the same place, voice calls was something that was not the primary goal. It was super fast broadband.
Yeah.
And it's really easy to forget that there's a whole load of consumers out there who like broadband but actually really value a home phone service. So the Accelerate collateral lets us build up that view of customers and information to share with them that isn't going to be, I suppose, biased by...
Yeah, that's a good point. Before the product went live, we do a lot of call collaboration. So we listen to a lot of the calls of the sales team, of our customer support team, to get an understanding of what our customer is saying. And it was surprising the amount of customers that we're talking about phone over broadband. There are a segment of customer that actually not that fussed about broadband. Yeah, we'll use it, but the phone line is number one priority. And it was fascinating the amount of customers that we were speaking to, either from a sales point of view or customers that we had on the books for broadband that didn't realise we didn't offer phone. So obviously we needed to fill a gap. We absolutely needed to. From a customer-centric point of view, we needed to.
Yeah. So what's the feedback been from your SLT team? The fact that, again, the initial part of BeFibre was to deliver connectivity. Adding voice on is obviously going to give you an increase in margin and revenues and EBITDA. So what's the feedback been from your SLT team?
Broadly that, which is it's good. Can you do some more? I think it's very much about the success of what we have just now, which I've said multiple times in our conversations. We haven't really changed the proposition. So what we're selling today is exactly what we launched with. It's that iterative proposition that will unlock the incremental growth. And our SLT are very happy with what they see and keen to see how the roadmap pans out. For business in particular, B2B and other higher margin products are clearly of interest because, it makes logical sense. For us in BeFibre, it's slotting that in at a time that works because, we have to continually grow the network. We have to grow the customer base, and getting there in the most effective way is important. From our SLT's perspective and the board's perspective, working with a partner like Gamma gives assurance, because like I said, when we want something extra or we're looking at something, we can just ask. And it's not a case of going, come back in 6 months when we built it. It's kind of already there because you're already specialists in that field. It would make logical sense to utilise that experience.
Well, I'd like to thank both of you for joining us today. It's really insightful for us to actually see the support that we give you guys, the actual difference it's making to the provisioning, your sales team. Hopefully the brand is growing because of the product that we're putting in place. And long may it continue with the other product sets that we're hopefully to add to your portfolio over the coming years. So thank you very much for joining this podcast today. Hopefully you found it very, very useful. I'd like to thank the guys from BeFibre for giving their views on the onboarding journey, what the PSTN switch off means and what the impact of that's going to be, and more importantly, the opportunity. We'll be looking to hold one of these sessions again in 6 months' time to see how that journey's changed. More importantly, if you'd like to discuss adding Phoneline Plus or any other of the voice over IP products, then please get in touch with Gamma. Thank you.